Understand how static methods work and where to call them. A static method belongs to the class itself and not the object. So in this example, we are going to look at an example of how static methods work and how they can be called in JavaScript. So let's move on. If you look at my script section here, a I have some comments here that highlight the steps of what we are going to make as an example. So there are 5 steps to the example we are going to be making in this lesson. The first step is we are going to have to create a class, then we add constructor, then we create a method that is a static method, then we create an object and then use that to call the static method. So let's start from step 1. Step 1 says we should create class. So I'll go ahead and create a class and name the class car. So now that I have this, I can then move to step 2 to add a constructor. Constructor will accept the name of the car, and inside it I'm going to set the name to name. So now I have this. The step 3 says create static method. So inside this class, that is where I'm going to create a static method. So I'll call on static keyword. So and then make a simple static method like this. Just return a string. Hello. So now I have that. Now step 4 says create object. Then I can come outside of this to create an object. So let's say my object name is my car. So I can make a new instance from that classes to create it. Let me call it Toyota. Now it is time to now call that method. Document.getElement by ID demo. Then we use the inner.html to update it. So I can now call what I have. The method is capital C. So car.hello, which is the method. Now, if you look at this, you can see right here, I have hello on the screen. So if I add something like it to this. Now, look at what we just did here. Basically, so this is our class, which is the main class for this example. And inside it we have a constructor, and inside this we have a method, a static hello method. So you can see this is where we are putting our method. And this method belongs to the class because you can see that it is inside the class where we are defining it. Then after it we have an object, and then eventually we are calling the method here. You can see the way we are calling the method just as we have it inside our main class. So here a class is created, and then with a static method is defined, which leads to the creation of an object, and on that object is where we are calling a method to return a result. So this static hello method here belongs to the class and not instance. So this is not like the way we made a new object here. This is not an instance of a class. Instead, it is just a method defined inside the class, and you can see the correct usage of calling that static method. So if we do something like this, this will be wrong. My car.hello, you can see that the value has disappeared because we are not doing object call. Instead, we are doing a static call inside a class. So I will return this to what I used to have before. So the reason why this will not work is because static method cannot be called on objects. So when you change this to my car, you are basically referring to this object. Meanwhile, static method cannot be called on objects. So static methods belong to the class. So we call them using the class name and not the object. So a static method is defined using the static keyword and belongs to the class itself. This means we cannot call it on an object, but only on the class, because you can see that it is defined inside the class, so we can only call it on the class and not on the object. Now, by the time when we try this, why do you think this fails? Let's first inspect to understand the error that JavaScript is giving us inside the console. my car.lo is not a function. That is the type error that we are getting inside the browser. Now, the reason why we cannot the reason why this fails is because hello and this parenthesis is not part of the object. We don't have this method inside the object. Instead, we have it inside the class. So not everything in a class is meant for objects. Some things belongs to the class itself. And an example is the static method that belongs to the class and not to the object. Key takeaways from this example, we have been able to see that static methods belong to the class and not to the object. And then you call it using the class name. For example, look at how we are calling this here. So the main class name is car, and then we are now passing that method into it, and then it's now displaying a result for us. You cannot use it on an object. As you can see, when we try it on an object, it was giving a type error because it's not meant to be used on an object. And you define it with a static keyword, just as we did here in the example.